Hey everybody, Matt here. I'm back in the studio and today I wanted to show you how to do an oil transfer. So last time I finished this drawing. This is my cast drawing of the gargoyle and I'm going to use it as the basis for my cast painting. So I'm going to transfer it to this panel. So I have a panel that's already in a frame here. I've taped off the edges of the frame so that I don't get paint or varnish on it. But I want this drawing to be transferred to that panel so I can start painting on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape down, I have my blue tape here. I'm going to tape down my drawing to my drawing board. And then I have my tracing paper that I'm going to tape down on top of that. So to start, you're going to need your drawing, some tracing paper, some tape. I have some blue painter's tape. I have my portable palette here. Some oil paint. I have Van Dyke Brown. You can use raw umber if you want, but something nice and dark. I have a little bit of mineral spirits here. Gamsol. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the materials. Oh, and a flat brush. I have a number 6 flat brush here. Okay, so I want to tape this tracing paper down. This is just to keep everything from moving around. Oh, pencils. I have 2 mechanical pencils. I have one that I'm going to use for my stylus for transferring to the panel, and then I have another one. I actually have some red graphite. It just shows up a little better because I'm going to put oil on the back of this, and that's going to be the medium that's going to act as my transfer to the panel. The red, I find the red shows up a little bit better on the dark colors. All right, so I have my drawing and I have my tracing paper taped down. So now I'm just going to take my red pencil and I'm going to trace the outline of the shadow, of the major shadow shapes. So I'm going to start with the perimeter of this cast. All right, so now I'm going to transfer, I'm going to trace the inside the major shadow shapes here. I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible. I do have some midtones, some small details here that sort of describe the form, but I kind of want to concentrate on the larger shadows. So I think that's about as much detail as I want to go into. All right, so next I'm going to put some oil on the back of this. So I don't need my drawing anymore. So I'm just going to put that aside. And I just have a sketch pad here of multimedia paper. It's a 9x12. I'm just going to use this as my base to paint on. So I'm going to take my tracing and I'm going to flip it around to the back and I'm going to tape it on my sketch pad. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Van Dyke Brown and I'm going to put some on my palette. You don't really need a lot of paint for this, but I can always add more if I need more. Now I'm going to take my flat brush. I have my mineral spirits here. I'm just going to add the smallest touch, just a little bit, to help with the flow of the paint. But I don't want to add too much because it's going to break down the oil in the oil paint. It's already pretty thin. And so now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to make sure I paint over. I'm going to cover all of these lines. And make sure everything's well covered. So that consistency looks pretty good to me. It's not too thin, it's not too thick. I can always add some more mineral spirits if I need it to spread a little easier. So I just want to make sure that the paint is spread nice and evenly so that I get an even transfer. So I've seen some people rub this on with a paper towel. I've always used a paintbrush, but you can use whatever works. So that seems pretty well covered to me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let that dry a little bit, and then I can start transferring to my panel. All right, so I'll probably let this dry for about 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my panel. I don't need the sketchbook anymore. And so I'm going to make sure this is facing the right way up. So I'm going to be taping this down now on the other side. Now I can take this and look at this. It might be a little difficult to see on the camera, but the red pencil is showing through on that dark painted background. So that should allow me to go through and trace the image. And so I'm going to tape this now with the paint side down on my panel. And then when I trace over it, it should leave the cartoon or the outline of my cast drawing right in the panel. So I need to think about how I want this situated on the panel. So if you want higher or lower. So this is the point where you kind of decide where you want this to sit. Kind of want it in the middle and maybe a little bit high. So maybe something like that. Looks about right. All right, so I want to take that. So I can take my stylus now. My stylus is just it's a mechanical pencil, and I've reseated the lead just all the way on the inside, so it's just the flat tip of the plastic. And so I can use this to trace my image. So that's what I'm going to do now. Now before I go too far, I can check to see how my transfer is doing. That looks good. It's clear, nice and dark. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I very carefully outline this drawing following my red guidelines. And then hopefully by the end of it, I have a decent transfer that I can start painting on. All right, so I don't think I've missed anything major. The transfer looks pretty good to me, so I can take this tracing paper off now. I can take a look at the end result. That looks pretty good. It's not going to be, it's going to be a little rough, but all it really needs to do is just be the basis for, I'm going to start filling in my shadows, and then I can start painting. But the placement looks pretty good to me. It's going to have a nice dark background, and all this stuff where my hand was pressed down or I went over a few times with the pencil, it's all going to get covered up anyways. But I'm going to wait for this to completely dry before I start painting, and then once it is, I'm good to go. So that's how you do an oil transfer.